Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I am your host, Mike Larkin, and joining me today is content creator and a damn good one at that, the one, the only Miss Sweet G Cream. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you?
It's a pleasure. I'm doing good. I cannot complain. I have to say, folks, for those that have not checked out Miss Sweet G Cream over here doing her thing on the Pornhub front, I gotta say, man, love the content that you've been putting out, whether it be customs or whether it just be solo vids or just everything you're putting into the adult content side of things. I like what I see. You've been doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. I like to hear that. Uh, it's kind of tedious work sometimes. It's kind of time consuming, but enjoyable. Enjoyable to say the least. So
Oh,
I've
absolutely.
really, I've really enjoyed coming into the content world and learning about the different websites, different, I guess, resources out there as far as other content creators that like to network with you, things like that. So I've met a ton of great people along the way. So it's been a great experience.
I have to say, first and foremost, what I love about it too is when it comes to different type of content creations, folks, whether it be through imagery, whether it be film in itself, I gotta say, if you guys have not checked out, like I mentioned, to reiterate the Pornhub side of things, you have your not suitable for work photos, you have your nice little modeling photos where you're out there. It's a nice little sunset type of vibe to it, whether you're wearing lingerie with some lipstick to it. I mean, there's something for everybody, and I think you can agree with being a content creator. Variety is everything, and diversity goes with everything that goes into this crazy world.
Absolutely. One thing I can say is I don't think there's anything I haven't heard or been requested. So we all kind of set our limits, as far as what we're willing to, extent we're willing to go to as far as content creation. Um, the custom requests sometimes they get a little crazy, but I mean it comes with the job. You just like I said, you set your boundaries as to what you're willing to do and willing not to do. And most people respect that.
I think what's great about it too is you have to respect it. Not only number one, just because accommodation and comfortability is key, but number two, I think you can find in this, especially within this community, there's so many people who are very unique, who many people who have different type of preferences. That a lot of people like to have that sweet, sweet fantasy, to quote Mariah Carey, fulfilled, so to speak. I think in today's day and age, man, where we've really kind of normalized what we see with the adult entertainment side of things or the adult side of things as far as content creation goes, we're more free spirited. We're more, dare I say, open to more things, free, liberated, really opening up and expanding our horizons. We really have a lot of great ways to just not only normalize things, but really let people just be unique. Dare I say, let the freak flag fly, and as well, just let them go out and be themselves, which I think is wonderful.
Absolutely. I definitely comparable to back in my younger days. Definitely nowadays is most definitely it's more acceptable. Hold on, I've got a lighting issue going on. It's kind of more acceptable now as to what people will tolerate and what people won't tolerate. And I think back like several years back, people might have judged like some of the mainstream porn today, like the things that people do, a lot of the taboo, a lot of the fetish work. I think it's not so much frowned upon now as it would have been before. So definitely more acceptable to kind of explore your own sexuality, I guess, and kind of see, I guess, kind of pushing your own limits to see what kind of things that you are willing to do and what you do enjoy.
I think
Because
it's
essentially, it's all about the enjoyability of it. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then why are you doing it? You know what I mean?
I hear you 100% on that. I look at it from a stance too as well. From back in the day where we've had, like you mentioned, the word taboo, when we had like films like Skinamax and stuff like that, or you could go on a website and then you have to pay the full trial. We only get a little taste, a little appetizer, if you will, like a Naughty America, what have you. And then you see streaming sites like your X Hamster, your X videos, and everything that we have now. I think we've really come a long way, especially where you have many vids and OnlyFans and ways to accumulate money from that business side of things, especially helped out a lot of people during COVID. But also at the same time, too, it's there's something for everything body now. And also number two as well, like in everything in day and age, for ever we talk about sex, we see it in popular culture like George Michael with I Want Your Sex. We see so many things that really apply a lot of sexually explicit imagery, but also at the same time sensuality. There's love, there's elegance, it's everything, however you want to define it. But in today's day and age, you really have a way of not only, like we mentioned earlier, normalizing it, but we have a way of just easy access to things. And sometimes that access can be really good and positive for a lot of people out there.
Right, right. It is easily accessible. I don't one thing I really don't like is Pornhub has started like banning a lot of states, which that takes a lot of fans away with them banning the different states. But I also understand that they have to keep themselves safe as far as like community guidelines and standards as far as their site itself. But as also with that being said, there's so many other platforms outside of that, like Twitter. You're able to post freely, and I mean, it's just there's so many other adult platforms out there that I wouldn't say so much bend the rules, but kind of make it more easier for you to access.
I hear you 100%. I mean, we see a lot of that with community guidelines, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on social media and everything. I look at it like this from a stance of, I think if you're young and you just want to seek out some stuff, what are you doing? Number one, there's a thing back in the day we used to have the cyber patrol, for God's sake. Sometimes you got to put it on lockdown, if you will. We're like a vault, maybe locked down. But also number two, at the same time, too, I think with everything in today's day and age, everything that can be defined as a community guideline, even if it's just the slightest little bit of skin, it can take you down and just mess everything up and you got to start over. I think a lot of them really go into different aspects of community guidelines where you just look at it with like a bewildered, look on your face, like, really, what the hell? That's what we're taking down when there's so much worse content out there on the internet. So, I mean, it does have that frustrations too, depending on how you post. I mean, you have to be careful sometimes.
Right, right. Because I've had several social media sites shut down because I always created promo, sites to keep my personal sites, apart. And like Snapchat, I'm permanently banned from there for the simplest nudity. Instagram is constant, and it's like if you do one thing, they're just taking your account from you. So you have to kind of play around, find what platforms allow what you do, and find what of them platforms do work for you, which in my opinion has been Twitter and Telegram has been the most successful outside of Pornhub for me.
Certainly has. And I will say this, what I love about your customs and everything that you do, I think not only just the fact that it obviously is very enjoyable with what we get to see with you on the screen there, as far as your films go, as far as the nudity and sensuality, and dare I say voluptuosity factor that comes within the old package that is your overall foundation. I mean, I look at it from a stance too, like this, like you can have some solo work where you're naked outside and there's friggin' rain coming down, like it's friggin', a tornado up in this piece, human mother nature just coming right at you. You can do a lot of freaky stuff, but also at the same time too, it's very enjoyable, number one, but also number two, it's unique. And in this line of work, you have to be creative, get the creative juices flowing, so to speak, with what you put out. And I gotta say, stuff like that is very, very cool, just because of the fact that number one, haven't seen it before, and number two, it's different. And I think you do add a lot of that within your content.
Yeah, I definitely know you do have to keep variety. You got to switch it up. You got to try different things, do different things. Your crowd's going to get boring, if you're repeatedly doing the same content. I do put out a lot of solo content. That's what I'm most comfortable doing. I do have a partner that I work with. We've not, so to speak, put out anything that we're ready to drop yet. But it is a work in progress. Everybody has to find their level of comfortability, in front of the camera, and what their boundaries are willing to be. Me myself, I'm pretty free range. I'm pretty free with my sexuality. I enjoy the outside, especially. I'm a country girl, so perks of living in the country. I can film content like that, different things like that. So variety definitely does help in this line of work.
I mean, God bless, man. I mean, if you look at a lot of the outdoor stuff that Miss Sweet G Cream over here is doing her thing, folks. I mean, you could catch her riding dirty like your Chameleonaire and Crazy Bone up in here. You can see some solo stuff in her car. You can see some neighbor watching, if you will. There's a lot of stuff that's really in tune with the overall voluptuosity factor and sensuality that goes with outdoor content. And I think with you, I think what's great about the solo side of things, I mean, if you really look at today's day and age with markets and categories of different forms of adult content, a lot of people like the solo stuff. I like to get to see people explicitly and express themselves freely. And I think at the end of the day, not only we mentioned is there something for everybody, but stuff like that is just badass, man. You could be sitting up in a sex swing. You could be doing the damn thing. There's a lot of enjoyable things. You have to make it with the most of your surroundings,
Right, right. Absolutely. You just kind of, it's been a rocky probably year or two for me. So I've kind of made my content where I could, sometimes in my sister's garage, it's just wherever, where in her backyard, wherever the moment spikes and it's like, hey, this would be a hot film. It's like, hey, I got a quick minute. I'm going to try to do it. So sometimes it's just that risque factor, I guess, of, hey, everybody's in the house. Can I do it real quick? That kind of makes the video at least a little bit more exciting and enjoyable for me to put out for people.
That's
So, essentially moving from the suburbs to the country, I've found a lot more freedom in the country. So,
No, I'm going to say right now, speaking as a suburb guy, folks, and then when you move down south or move to a rural area, I completely understand where you're coming from. I really do. As someone who grew up on Long Island, New York, and I live in South Carolina now, there's a lot of a change in environment and change of scenery, so to speak. But I can echo those sentiments, man. There's a lot of change that comes with it, but I think that's really awesome, and especially trying to find that way wherever you are to make that quick moment and go onto it, that frantic, that overall reckless spontaneity, but spontaneity being the key word. You have to be spontaneous and have that combustion, so to speak, with what you do. And I have to ask you first and foremost, we're talking about the great work that you do and how everything is just going to keep going on the up and up for you, which I love to see because good things happen to great people. I got to ask you, Miss Sweet G Cream, what kind of really gravitated you towards really doing content creation, though? Because I mean, our sexual changes when we're teens and we like what we like as teens, but as we get to adulthood, we expand more, we explore more. So what kind of really gravitated you towards making content creation? Because what we've seen so far has been excellent.
Crazy story.
Okay.
Um, I found out probably about 3 years ago that my lungs were failing.
Oh,
So I've not been able to go to work. I had to quit my job. And it kind of started as a joke. I have a younger, I call him my boy toy. And it started as a joke. I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to make some money. I'm gonna hop on Pornhub. And he was like, hey. Anyway, so that's kind of how it got started. It kind of was halfway a joke, but then I was like, maybe I could take a chance and put myself out there, even with me being older in age, and see how I do. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? So I kind of put myself out there just to see if I could make a hustle and survive and pay my bills on it. And so far, it's treated me very well.
first and foremost, I am happy that you are here with us, man. I don't want to hear anything like
Blessed
that.
to be here.
God bless,
Yes,
man.
just celebrated 44 last week, so I'm blessed to say that.
Early, well, happy
So,
birthday to you, man. Happy
yeah,
birthday.
so yep, I absolutely live every day of my life to the fullest because that's what I got left to do. So,
See, that
but
tugs on
that's what was my biggest push. I was like, hey, I got to make some income somehow. Let me just see how I can do. And here I am. So I'm about 3.5 years in it now into the content game.
I gotta say, first and foremost, that tugs on my heartstrings right there. My life is an art form. We're all applying our crafts. Continue to apply your craft in amazing fashion. I mean, stuff like that, man. I mean, like, I really love about that story too, as well as, and I mean, it can start it as a joke, but again, you realize how much people make as far as money goes with content creation. How we mentioned normalize it is, but I think that's really cool that what started as a joke and here you are now. I mean, you're really going against the grain, so to speak. And let me tell you something right now. Age ain't nothing but a number, as the song has said. You look
Right.
good for 44, a very sexy
Thank
44.
you.
You're very welcome. But I mean, a lot of us like, dare I say, the MILFs, the GILFs, whatever you want to define it, the cougar vibes here. You can define that in maturity. But I got to say, a lot of us guys like the maturity. A lot of the girls like the maturity because we can always learn something new, huh? So it's sexiness upon sexiness upon sexiness. There's layers to this, so to speak.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
And I got to say, first and foremost, as well, let's put over the fact that not only do you showcase yourself sensuality with just no clothes at all, but let's put over the fact that the elegance, the overall lingerie of what goes into your stuff, because you wear a lot of beautiful lingerie, the outerwear, so to speak, that internal and external beauty and foundation. Talk about the lingerie, man, because I got to say, you look good in some lingerie. Let's put that into the forefront.
Um, a lot of it, honestly, were gifts from people, from Pornhub, from Twitter. At first, I was kind of a little self conscious about jumping into the lingerie, and then it was like everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so sexy," and it was just okay, okay, people like this, so I started trying to change up the variety. I do know my raising, I was taught there's a difference in sexy and sleazy. So I do try to keep my lingerie on a more sexier scale as far as just all out wild. So I feel comfortable in it. I believe it just depending on what pieces you wear, it accentuates your body in the right places. So it definitely makes a difference in content creating, how you look on the outside as well.
Absolutely. And I think you definitely showcase that confidence and overall, dare I say, demure, and dare I say that decorum that goes within just the overall sexiness of the lingerie piece. And I mean, you look at it like this, man. Blackstreet and Dr. Dre once said, I like the way you work it. No diggity, got to bag it up, if you will. And on the other pop culture side of things, you had Usher talk about, I'm a freak for some sexy lingerie. So there are many things
Right,
that really attribute to the overall sex appeal and how we all feel ourselves to be sexy within our internal and
right.
external spirit. And I gotta say though, I like that too because it shows a little bit of classiness mixed with everything. And who doesn't love some good classiness and elegance at the end of the day? Because what more can you ask for, right?
Right, right. You can have classy and nasty at the same time.
I like that classy and nasty at the same time. Okay, okay. So I gotta say this, Miss Classy and Nasty. What I do love about your overall presentation, besides the fact that we're talking about content creation, how you're really moving forward within yourself and showcasing that real deal sex appeal, that RDSA, if you will. I gotta say another thing that's really cool from the marketing game. I do love the name, the Sweet G Cream. I gotta say that really drawn me to it as well because I love the name. It's all in the name, the persona, if you will. I had to ask you about that because I think that is so doggone cool.
So Sweet G Cream, that's kind of funny story too. Like those name generators online, sometimes it's just like a little game and it'll ask you
Yes.
a couple questions about yourself. It was like asking a couple questions about my personality. And then, like asking what people refer. A lot of people call me G. That was a name started by my granddaughter. And when my friends found out that she called me G, it just stuck. They just loved it. So that become what everybody called me. So when I entered all that into the name generator, that's what it spit back was Sweet G Cream. And I was like, I kind of like that. It's pretty catchy, so I'm just gonna roll with it. So it was just kind of a random pick, honestly.
I gotta say it does suit you very well because it's very like rapper type of vibe, like a Sweet G Cream. You know what I'm saying? Put like the C and put some dollar signs up in there. It has a very rap name to it, but it also has a very sexy vibe to it. The sweetness and cream, and dare I say cream shaboogie, like Prince 112 peaches and cream, bringing the sweetness, so to speak. So there's a lot that goes into it. I gotta say that random name generator, that automatic generator, if you will, landed on something, man. You kind of hit the jackpot with that, so to speak.
Yeah, it kind of fit. I was like, I'm kind of digging that name. I'm gonna roll with it.
And as you should roll with it and roll out like you ludicrous. Me and my homie, so drop that. So in that particular scenario, I will say this, man, it really is all in the name and all in what you do. And besides the fact, like we mentioned, the outdoor work and everything that you do from the solo work too, as well. I think what I also do appreciate about the fact that what you do is besides the fact that you are someone who is very not just sweet, sexy 44, but I think it shouldn't matter not only just age and everything that you do. I think everybody, not only like we mentioned, has a preference and everybody has that style, that vibe to it. I think that goes key with everything too. Like the vibes that you get off somebody, the vibes that you get off the content. In today's day and age, vibes is so important to how you're feeling and what people gravitate towards and evoke emotions and elicit a reaction towards.
Oh, absolutely. Your brain, like within 5 seconds, you know if you're feeling the vibe or not. It
Yep.
doesn't take long. Within 5 or 10 seconds, you're like, okay, I'm feeling this, or okay, I'm not. So, I mean, it's just you got to try to find that vibe that attracts people and that they want to keep attracted to, and just kind of just build with it.
Agreed wholeheartedly, man. Build with it, vibe with it, and just resonate and generate with it. And I look at it like this as well. I mentioned earlier about life being an art form. We're all applying our crafts, especially where you have gone, man, and everything that you've been through, trials and tribulations, and just you as a whole, and finding yourself, which I do admire and I do enjoy and love and respect about you, Miss Sweet G Cream. But I got to ask you as well, man, how awesome is it to see not only the fact of just the vibes and everything where you are, I got to say the art form that it is, because a lot of people don't really take in not only the fact that there's a lot that goes into content creation instead of just getting in front of a film and doing the damn thing, but behind the scenes work and everything that goes into it, and truly how much of an art form this is, no matter what the naysayers
Right.
say, really everything is an art form, right?
That's exhausting. That's exhausting. And that's why in a lot of my films, like I'm not a big makeup girl. I'm not none of that. So a lot of my films, it's just raw and natural. Like you get the all natural me. What you see is what you get. Occasionally, some videos I will throw on some lipstick or something, or maybe a little bit of eye makeup. But I mean, it's just you just gotta capitalize off of what people enjoy, and a lot of people enjoy the natural and the realness of my content. That's one thing that I have grown to know. They do enjoy the naturalness of and the realness of my content.
Authenticity and genuinity is so key in anything that we do. And a lot of people can see that with how you view things, with how you view with your eyes, so to speak. You visualize, if you will. And I think what a lot of people should do is definitely visualize the sweet G cream, the SGC, if you will. Put that hashtag on it, some SGC, if you will.
Right.
Sweet G Cream vibe. And I have to say this about you, Miss Sweet G Cream. And I do have a couple final questions before we close it out, because, like I said, I make the most of my time, and your time is much appreciated. I'd love to have you back on for a round two, because I love your personality and I love what you're about.
Well, I would love to come back anytime. Just let me know.
I appreciate that. Now, I always love asking this question too, because not only did we mention the art form and how exhausting it can be to put a lot of the work into it, because it is, and I know how hard a lot of you ladies and a lot of you talents work, the grind never stops. But
Right.
for you being so, again, with the intuitiveness that you have and doing this for 3 doggone years now, what advice would you give to a lot of the content creations on the adult side of things that are really coming into it, coming on the come up, so to speak? What advice would you give them, and what they can really look out for, and what it takes to be in the content game?
The biggest thing that I could say to people coming into the content world, don't pay attention to the negative. If you pay attention to the two negative comments versus 4,000 positive and let the negative get to you, it'll get to you. You have to block that from your mind. There's a lot of people out there that will try to bring negativity or try to, make degrading comments to you. You have to put that out of your mind and just stay focused on what your main goal is. If you're really in it to make your money, it's profit in there. It's just all in how much you're willing to put into it and how much time you're willing to invest in yourself as well as into your content. The biggest thing the hardest thing I had to deal with coming into it was the negative. But then I was like, I have two bad comments versus 4,000 good comments. You know what? Screw them guys. So that's the biggest thing, just keeping your mentality right within it, because you will deal with a lot. You deal with a lot of creepiness, freakiness. I mean, everything in this industry. So the main thing is just keeping your mentality focused, and if your main goal is to make your bread off of it, keep your mind on it.
Beautifully and eloquently said. I think positivity outweighs the negativity. And also, the fact of the matter is, too, if you're loving something like you do, and like you mentioned earlier, go out there and do it. If you're not loving it, then why do it? And I also look at it from a stance, too, as well, man. I mean, with all y'all freaks out there, to quote Adina Howard, to be a freak like me until the dawn, we can whoop whoop right until the night,
Right.
until the early morn. You really look at stuff like that, that really gets to see. I mentioned the accommodation, comfortability. And if you're going to request a custom for these lovely ladies, I think respect, number one, is key. And number two, professionalism, folks, because there's a lot of freaky deakiness out there, but sometimes it's a good freak.
Early morning.
Yes, but the thing is, too, there's good freaks, and then there's good weird out there, but then there's just totally off the walls. And don't be bananas, BANANAS. So I love your advice, and I adhere to it, as you all should. Miss Sweet G Cream, I gotta say, man, you're a lovely personality and a lovely human being. Where can we follow you on the social media front?
Follow me on Twitter at Sweet G Cream. Also on Pornhub at Sweet G Cream. My Telegram is Sweet G Cream 80. And also Instagram is they underscore love underscore a underscore G. So follow me on any of those social medias that you want.
Alrighty, links will be in the description below this fine audio, ladies and gentlemen. You can check out yours truly, SM Show Wonder MCL92 on Twitter, Larkin underscore 92 or M Larkin MB on the Instagram front, StephenMikeShow.com, and subscribe to the YouTube Mike Larkin 92 for all these shows of On the Mike Mike, including my guest tonight, Miss Sweet G Cream. And as I say, folks, with each and every show, life is an art form where we're all applying our crafts. Continue to apply your craft in amazing fashion. And Miss Sweet G Cream, do you have any final words for your fans?
Thank you all for the love and support that you've shown throughout this journey. A lot have been with me since day one. I really appreciate it. It's been overwhelming the amount of love and support that has been shown in this industry to me, and I appreciate it, every one of you.
We thank you and we appreciate you. And as always, folks, as I say to end each and every one of these shows, beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Miss Sweet G Cream, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Come talk to me. I love the way you're on to me. Looking at you, looking like you're wondering if we're here for the same reason. And I bet you wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey. Yeah, I bet you're here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, I'm right here. I'm right here. If you're looking for the good life, good vibes, honey, I'm right here. I'm right here. And I'm waiting for you. And I love you in your summer skin. Looking at you, looking like you're into it. 'Cause we're here for the same reason. Yeah, I just wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey. Yeah, 'cause I'm just here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something, that's something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, I'm right here.